you, the one who doesn't realize how heavy your presence is, you quiet anomaly. Listen closely. Take a moment, because what I'm about to explain is both surprising and oddly revealing. It's the kind of realization that makes you pause, reflect, and quietly shake your head. At some point, three people actually came together, intentionally, and decided that you were the issue. Not in a casual or emotional way, but deliberately. They talked it through and concluded that you stood out too much, moved too confidently, or disrupted something they were trying to maintain. In their eyes, you weren't just inconvenient. You were a risk. The irony is that before their unspoken agreement could take any real shape, it began to fall apart. Two of them are already struggling. Whatever sense of unity they believed they had didn't last long. The same people who thought they could undermine you couldn't even stay aligned with each other. Pilid. Meanwhile, you've been moving through life sensing resistance without fully understanding why. You noticed it in the slowed progress, in the quiet withdrawal where support once existed, in subtle changes in how people interacted with you. Conversations felt strained, familiar warmth faded. Opportunities seemed to close unexpectedly. You questioned yourself, wondering if you were reading too much into things or imagining connections that weren't there. You tried to frame it as a temporary challenge, something to push through. But it wasn't random, and it wasn't imagined. You weren't just facing difficulties. You were being deliberately opposed. Something about you unsettled them. Your growth, your direction, the way you carried yourself stirred discomfort rather than motivation. Instead of focusing on their own development, they chose to redirect their energy toward holding you back. That reaction often comes from people who feel overshadowed. When someone reflects what they fear they can't become, insecurity hardens into intent. If they can't keep pace, they try to slow the one moving ahead. It's not a new pattern, and it's rarely creative, just familiar and repetitive. They thought they were being strategic. They paid attention to your habits, your tendencies, the moments where you showed trust or restraint. They shaped narratives, influenced perceptions, interfered with connections, believing they understood how to affect your path. For a time, it may have seemed like it worked. Things stalled, support weakened, uncertainty set in. From their perspective, they assumed their approach was effective. What they overlooked, what's often overlooked, is your resilience beneath the surface. They misjudged your foundation. You've already faced circumstances that would have stopped others completely. You've learned how to adapt under pressure and rebuild after setbacks. Each challenge sharpened your awareness. Each disappointment strengthened your perspective. They mistook calm for weakness, empathy for naivety, and restraint for lack of awareness. They assumed that because you didn't react, you didn't notice. That assumption became their first major error. In leans, the first sign of collapse appeared where it usually does, with the least grounded person. This individual was never fully committed. They weren't driven by strong resentment, but by a desire to belong. Approval mattered more to them when the idea of turning against you surfaced. They agreed out of fear of being left out, rather than true intent. But insecurity is people operating from that place struggle to maintain actions that don't align with their inner state. Over time, the discomfort grows. Eventually, maintaining the pretense became exhausting. Subtle shifts followed. Hesitation replaced confidence. Distance replaced involvement. Your name brought unease rather than certainty. Guilt didn't announce itself loudly. It showed up quietly through avoidance, excuses, and withdrawal. There was no confrontation or admission, just a gradual disengagement. Missed follow-through, forgotten details, small failures that added up. Without intending to, they weakened the entire effort. What began as 3 became 2, and 2 lacks stability. Without a third presence to diffuse tension, doubt sets in faster, trust erodes, scrutiny increases, the cracks widen. The plan that was meant to disrupt you started unraveling on its own, you know? And the most telling part is this. You didn't need to intervene at all. Now we arrive at the second fracture, and this one is far more revealing. Unlike the first, this person wasn't motivated by insecurity or a need to belong. This one believed in the campaign deeply. They carried conviction, not hesitation. Somewhere along the way, they convinced themselves that you deserve whatever consequences were being engineered. Maybe history between you existed. Maybe your progress mirrored everything they feared about themselves. Maybe your very presence reflected a version of life they felt locked out of. Whatever the source, their resentment had weight. They weren't a passenger in the plot. They were one of its architects. But intensity without truth is unsustainable. And even the fiercest fire eventually consumes its own fuel. Benda, their fatal mistake, was assuming that your downfall would complete them. They believed that if you stumbled, if you suffered, if you lost momentum, something inside them would finally settle. That your collapse would translate into their relief, their validation, their sense of arrival. But destruction is a hollow currency. It pays nothing in the long term. There is no fulfillment in vengeance, no growth in sabotage, no healing in obsession. You can dedicate years to tearing someone else apart and still wake up empty, still feel behind, still face the same unresolved void staring back at you in the mirror. And slowly, painfully, this truth began to surface for them, blend as they poured more energy into monitoring you, undermining you, and plotting outcomes that never quite materialized. Their own life began. Opportunities passed unnoticed. Personal growth froze. Joy became scarce. And there you were, perhaps altered, perhaps more cautious, perhaps momentarily shaken, but still upright, still moving, still existing beyond their reach. You didn't disappear. You didn't collapse. You didn't become the broken version they had invested so much imagination into. And that's when the most destabilizing question emerged. The one that dismantles people like this from the inside out. Why am I doing this? Why devote so much effort to someone who isn't even aware of my fixation? Why spend my days plotting another person's downfall while neglecting the possibility of building something of my own? And this second person didn't fall apart in guilt or remorse. They unraveled through depletion, through burnout, through the slow realization that every whispered narrative, every calculated move, every moment spent watching you was draining their own vitality while producing nothing in return. They weren't winning. They were aging themselves emotionally. They weren't advancing. They were stuck. And eventually, they simply stopped. Not because they found morality, but because they ran out of fuel. The obsession lost its thrill. The hatred lost its purpose. The illusion that this crusade mattered finally collapsed under the weight of exhaustion. And just like that, the structure failed again. 2 became 1. One solitary figure left clinging to a plan that no longer had momentum, credibility, or support. A lone conspirator sitting with the uncomfortable truth that what once felt powerful now looks small, desperate, and embarrassingly ineffective. The grand design shrank into a solo performance that nobody applauds and no one wants to be associated with anymore. Land, this is usually the moment where sympathy is expected, where we soften the edges and offer explanations about pain and projection, and wounded people acting out their wounds. But not this time. This time there is only clarity and a little laughter, because there is something undeniably ironic about ordinary individuals believing they could interfere with something divinely protected. There is something almost poetic about the confidence it takes to challenge a path that was never theirs to control. Mounds, they mistook accessibility for weakness. They mistook your openness for fragility. They assumed coordination could overcome destiny, What they failed to see was the depth beneath the surface. The resilience built through years of pressure, the unseen preparation, the protection that doesn't announce itself. You were never defenseless. You were never exposed. You were simply underestimated. You are the kind of person who adapts under attack, who sharpens through adversity, who survives scenarios that weren't designed for survival. They tried to fight someone who had already crossed the finish line. They just hadn't realized the race was over. And now look at the aftermath. Fragmented alliances, silent withdrawals, rewritten histories, faces rehearsing innocence, distances created to avoid accountability, and one remaining figure, isolated, burdened with the remnants of a plan that collapsed under its own weight. Not because you intervened, but because it was never sustainable to begin with. As for the third one, the final holdout, they're still performing their role with admirable commitment, still strategizing, still imagining there's a version of reality where this plan can be revived, repaired, and somehow brought to victory. There's almost something tender about the persistence. Almost. They truly believe that if they apply just a bit more pressure, invest a little more effort, push the narrative one last time, they can change the outcome. But the truth is already sealed. They just haven't received the memo yet. The moment the first fracture appeared, the entire structure collapsed. Once unity dissolved, the momentum died. What used to be a coordinated force is now nothing more than one person, swinging wildly at an enemy who left the battlefield long ago. Blendists, you're no longer where they think you are. You've moved forward. You've redirected your energy into creation instead of defense. You're focused on growth, alignment, and momentum, while they're stuck replaying the same scene, trying to rewrite an ending they were never authorized to decide. They're fighting a version of you that no longer exists, expending effort on a storyline that already concluded. And that's where the irony sharpens, because the harder they try, the more obvious it becomes that they've already lost. Bland. What happens next is almost predictable. There will be a moment of stillness for them. It might arrive in the quiet hours of the night, or in the middle of an ordinary day, when distractions fail to cover the noise inside their mind. In that pause, clarity will creep in uninvited. They'll see the hours poured into fixation, the energy drained into resentment, the chances missed while their attention stayed locked on you. They'll notice the absence of allies, the distance created, the silence left behind by the two who abandoned the pact. They'll confront the uncomfortable reality of the life they could have been cultivating if they hadn't been so invested in trying to interfere with yours. Fulfillment carries weight. It brings the full inventory of choices into focus. The whispered conversations, the calculated intentions, the repeated justifications. And in that moment, the illusion finally shatters. As fainting you do. But because no one can indefinitely sustain that level of negativity aimed at someone who isn't even responding, it's exhausting to scream into emptiness. It's draining to fight an opponent who isn't present. Eventually, the voice grows hoarse, the anger loses heat, the effort begins to feel foolish. And that's when they break too, not dramatically, not publicly, but internally where it matters most, you know? And here's the part that matters most for you. None of this requires your attention. You don't need to witness their realization. You don't need closure, acknowledgement, or justice delivered in visible form. Their unraveling is not your responsibility, and it isn't your concern. You've already stepped beyond the reach of the entire situation. While they're busy exhausting themselves over a story that's already ended, you're writing a new chapter, one rooted in progress, stability, and momentum. Lanced, they stayed behind, trying to dismantle something that was never fragile to begin with. You kept moving, becoming stronger, clearer, and more aligned with every step. The pact failed, not because you fought back, but because it never had the power they believed it did. You were never the target they imagined. You were never as exposed as you appeared. And by the time they realize it fully, you'll be so far ahead that their efforts will feel like a distant echo, fading, irrelevant, and unable to reach you. What unfolds from here belongs entirely to them, their reckoning, their consequences. Your role was never to stand by and witness their collapse, nor to find satisfaction in their unraveling. Your work is forward motion. Your responsibility is continuation. Keep moving, keep creating, keep shining so steadily that whatever small strategies once circled you fade into background noise, barely registering at the edges of your awareness. That is the real triumph, not overpowering opposition, but evolving beyond its reach. Not engaging in endless conflict, but rising so far above it that the conflict dissolves on its own. Believed. This was never about winning a fight. It was about outgrowing the battlefield entirely. Not disproving their narratives, but building a life so expansive that their opinions lose all relevance. People align against you like that. It isn't because you are wrong. It's because you reflect something they cannot face. 3 people align their intentions against you. 2 already collapsed under the weight of their own motives. The 3rd will arrive at the same realization. In time, you were never their adversary. You were a mirror. And mirrors don't chase, don't argue, don't defend. They simply exist, quietly revealing what stands in front of them. And when people confront their own reflection, only 2 outcomes ever follow. Some recognize themselves and choose growth. Others attempt to shatter the glass and end up injuring themselves in the process. You were never meant to crack. You were designed to endure. So allow yourself a moment of amusement, not arrogance, but awareness. There is something profoundly ironic about ordinary individuals believing they could dim a light sourced from something far beyond their understanding. There is humor in watching a coalition dissolve before it ever became effective. There is poetry in realizing that while they invested energy into opposition, you invested yours into becoming. This isn't about ego, it's about clarity. It's about finally understanding that none of this was personal. It was fear disguised as strategy, insecurity masquerading as authority, a desperate attempt to feel powerful by attempting to make someone else feel small. And yet, you made it through, not by retaliating, not by plotting in return, not by lowering yourself into the same mindset. You survived because you refused to abandon your path, because you trusted something larger than their intentions, because you stayed focused, resilient, protected, and unwilling to be pulled into distractions that were never meant for you. 3 aligned against you, 2 fell away, 1 remains clinging to a failing narrative, and you're still upright, still expanding, still stepping into the very future they feared you would reach. That isn't coincidence. That isn't chance. That is alignment. That is inevitability. That is destiny, moving uninterrupted by amateurs. So, release the need to monitor them. Stop wondering what they're planning. Stop allowing them space in your thoughts they were never qualified to occupy. The agreement collapsed. The scheme expired. All that remains is their reflection and your ascent. Focus on that ascent. Focus on climbing so high that when you finally glance downward, there's nothing left to see. Focus on building something so meaningful that this entire chapter becomes nothing more than an anecdote, an amusing story shared casually, lost its emotional weight. Focus on becoming so formidable in your presence that the next time anyone even considers aligning against you, the idea collapses instantly under its own absurdity. Shend, that's where you're going. That's what's unfolding. That's who you're becoming. And yes, it's funny. Not just funny, cosmically, unmistakably, divinely funny.